Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Before we start, I'm coming to you live from the new Essen Garage, and I just want to let you know that if you smash the subscribe button right now, which is free, you get to enter the draw for these two bad boys. What are these? Check this out. I'm trying to inspire the next generation of petrol heads, so I'm sending not only one, but the entire family over to Mercedes-Benz World in Weybridge. Thanks to Salvage Nation, I'm sending one of my subscribers and their entire family over to Mercedes-Benz World in Weybridge. You're gonna get to go off-roading in a G63 AMG as a young driver, and the entire family also gets to go out on a second ride in a G63 AMG. It's gonna be tons of off-roading fun, so all you need to do to enter is subscribe. It's free. Subscribe if your bell's on now. Hello guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the most craziest episode you're gonna see on Ricky's custom M140i conversion. When I say Ricky, I'm talking about man like Ricky from the Living Life Fast channel, and in this episode, I'm fitting this B58 lump of an engine into this BMW 114i. Roll on the episode. So before the engine can go in, I had to strip the entire car down to the bare shell. Once it was all stripped, I went ahead and I laid the complete wiring loom from our donor car. So there are major parts of this wiring loom which is hidden beneath the carpets, so that's the reason why we had to remove the carpets. After that, I did a facelift on the rear end before fitting the brake boosters, fuel lines, fuse boxes, fuel cell, engine ECU, water bottles, water pumps, all from the breaker car. On the water pump, we needed to fit some riv nuts to get it all situated, but as you can see, it went in without a problem. Now I sourced all of these parts from a running and driving 2017 BMW M140i Shadow Edition. So I got tons of goodies, but now it's finally time for this massive B58 to go into this little old 114i. And after this, it's gonna be a 114i no more. So this lump with this 8-speed ZF automatic gearbox is going into this car. Over the last few days, we've been prepping everything. You've seen all the episodes. If you're watching this, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, go back and watch from episode 1. I'm telling you, it's epic. But for now, I've got this guy here to help me. I'm gonna tidy up all of this mess. We've got parts everywhere, but now it's time to tidy up, and then I'm gonna position the engine, gearbox, suspension, everything as one unit right in the center, and we should be able to just fit it in no time. Once all of that goes in, I should be able to just connect all of the wiring harnesses, and we're gonna try to start this car for the first time. So no more talking, let's just get to work. So in the previous episode, I showed you how I removed the engine, suspension and gearbox as one giant unit still attached to the lower subframe. I've got this on a pallet and I'm gonna fit it in place, and you'll see right now I'm gonna be fitting it onto the 114i chassis as one giant unit. Here we go. Now the engine is almost in place, and as you can see, it's a tight fit. However, it does fit exactly as it would a normal 140. After tightening up the top mounts for the suspension, all I had to do is raise everything up, go underneath and bolt down the 4 giant bolts that holds the subframe into place on the chassis.
He's given it to Bellingham, and Bellingham has scored his 11th league goal of the...
Guys, the engine is in the car. It was a lot of work. Look at the state of me. I'm a mess. However, I'm gassed up because this car is about to be gassed up. It's about to fire up, or maybe it won't. Who knows? But I'm gonna stick you on a time lapse now. I'm gonna connect to all the ancillaries, all the electricals, and we're gonna try to start this car for the first time as an M140 converted 114i, M2 Beast, whatever it is, hopefully it's gonna fire up. With the engine secure, it's time to make the connections between the engine wiring loom, the car's wiring loom, and connect them all to the engine ECU. As a side note, we're converting this car from a manual to auto. The gearbox ECU is also part of this process. Alrighty guys, so I went ahead and I fitted the engine ECU, that's this big one here, connected that all up. The transmission ECU plugs in on the side right here. I went ahead and I plugged in some other ancillary wires that are needed to get this car to start. I haven't installed the cooling side of things. There's a ton of coolant hoses that I need to install. I'll do that later on. Finally, I went ahead and I fitted, this is the fuel line here from the gas tank in the back. All I need to do now is connect the fuel tank in the back seat, and I think it's time to see if it's gonna at least crank. If it starts, that's gonna be a plus. I've got this camera here to get the reactions, and I'm gonna head in the car and connect everything up and then try to start the car for the first time. Oh, scary times, scary times. So, if I move everything here, under here, that's the gas tank there that I fitted earlier from the 140 breaker. That plugs in like so, that goes in like so. So those two are in, okay. I feel a bit scared. Right, let me grab the key. I'll stick you guys over there. Let me grab the key and start her up. Guys, here goes nothing. Is it even gonna crank? Okay, 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 we've got ignition. Gotta press the brakes. It's not turning over, it's not cranking, it's not doing anything. 1 minute. All right, guys, so let's try this again. In my haste, I went outside, I checked all the fuses, I checked everything. Then I remembered I never earthed the engine. So there's a strap that connects both the engine and the gearbox to the earth. It's underneath the car. I slapped the car in. I was just so gassed, I forgot that. So as soon as I connected that, I turned on the ignition just now. I haven't started it yet, or tried to start. Turned on the ignition, and then I heard all the ringings and stuff and the clicking from the engine. So that's a good sign. So guys, take two. Oh. Okay, all right, so it can't. I reckon that's because it's not primed, so that's probably like a little bit of residual petrol that was in the engine already. So let's try it one more time. It's coming, coming. It's got to get fuel all the way through the system. Come on, come on. Now the battery's flat. All right, let me get the booster, try it for a third time. All right, you guys, so for the third time, I've checked the fuel lines, I've checked everything. Let's go. Really need to get these sensors back in this car, man. It's long. Flipping hell, man. Guys, I give up. So guys, it's 8 p.m. on a Friday night, and I'm annoyed, man. I was really excited. I was gonna give Ricky a call. The good thing is the engine's in the car. The bad thing is it doesn't start, and I'm gonna hit it on another day. Like, my cup is full, my cup is full. Right now I just wanna break it, but yeah, my cup is full. I'm gonna come back in tomorrow. I'll go through everything again. I'll try to diagnose the issue, and hopefully we can get this car started. The engine was running when it was still in the breaker. I removed it, I didn't break anything. Yeah, sorry to leave it on this note. All right, guys, it's the next morning, and last night was just super frustrating, but I've come in, new energy. I want to double check everything that I've done. I've checked the fuses already. I'm gonna double check all the fuel lines. It sounds like the car's not getting fuel. I just wanna double check, and then we're gonna try to do some fault finding, and hope this car's gonna start. I'm confident, I'm positive this car has to start. It's now 9 in the morning, Saturday morning. For me, I've got to be out of here by midday, and by midday, this car's got to be running, man. If I can get it running early enough, I'm gonna go ahead and fit the rear suspension, the rear subframe, and hopefully, I wanna see if we can get it moving. Man, I don't wanna get ahead of myself. First, we need to get it to start. So let's go. So these are the two fuel lines right here. It comes all the way down here, up and over, as you can see it in there. And that's what I connected to the top of the fuel pump. So the fuel pump is there. I can't see any leaks on the lines. I can't see any breakages. I was careful when I removed it, and I was careful when I fitted it. But coming back around, I'm gonna go from the top and just double check. This is the vacuum pipe here, that's all connected. Everything there seems to be okay. This is the old fuel cell. The fuel cell is the same, like I said, but the fuel pump is different on the M140. But this is full of fuel. I went ahead and I drilled this tank here. This is gonna be chucked out anyway, so I drilled it right here. I'm gonna pour all the fuel out of there. I'm gonna try to load up this car with a bit of fuel. I don't know, that could be a problem as well. I just wanna double check all my earthing points. 100% I've done it. That's good. Up here, that's good. That's the strap that I didn't do last night. That's all tight, that's all good. There's no reason why this car shouldn't be starting. I wanna check these connections here. They're all clipped into place, all solid. And then that's just a vent up at the top right there. That just goes up to the top to the fuel filler right there. Everything is in properly, man. Everything is in as it should be. Let's get the car back down. I just want to double check the fuel connections at the top of the engine. Everything there is nice and solid. I double checked those last night. Right here is the fuel line. This black line here comes from under the car, goes through this hose, and it goes into the high pressure fuel pump. This is the high pressure fuel pump here. Everything is connected there. This is the connection that I wanted to check. Definitely click that into place. Put this plastic bit back in. There you go. So that fuel line is all good. This is that vacuum line here. Just make sure that that's all, you can see it's all clipped in, no problem. All the wires are in, everything is nice and solid. It wouldn't be turning over if the wires weren't good anyway. Here's the fuse box, the old fuse box from the 114i. I found this fuse was blown, but I think that was for the boot. If you remember, the boot wasn't working. As soon as I changed that 20 fuse there, then the boot started working. The ABS is being found by the computer, so I know that that's all powering up. Everything here seems to be okay. It's literally just the cooling system that I haven't connected. I'll pop that in whilst I'm here. That goes like so. I'll finish that up once I get the car started. I'm also gonna do some diagnosing, but you can never really see the screen properly. I'll do that off camera. I'm gonna diagnose to see if the engine ECU is bringing up any error code. It looks an absolute mess in here, but all the wires are plugged in where they're meant to be plugged in. So this car should be running and starting. So frustrating. Okay guys, so now that I've checked all of those key points, the last thing is I'm gonna pour some fuel, fill it up as much as I can, and we're gonna give the car another try. Fingers crossed. That's it. So, take 4. Didn't connect the battery. All right guys, here goes. Come on, it's gotta work now. I've given it fuel, I've checked everything. Woo! Wait. Get in. Guys, it started. You know what? Cue the music, man.
We love the Beamers, the Benz, the Porsches. All of my fans, I know they're supporting. Style with nothing but look at us now. Whoever's supporting, I'm making you proud. Whoever's supporting, I'm making you proud. Salvage Nation, look at the squad. We're up in the front line, look at the car. Look at the
We love the Bimmers, the Benz, the Porsches. Come on. The B58 is running and I am happy. I've ran it for a short period of time just to check it's actually running. I think the issue was actually fuel. I think the car was just out of fuel. But what I want to do is I want to get this engine warmed up. And to do that, I need to get some coolant in the system. To get coolant in the system, I need to connect all of these hoses and I need to stick the radiators on. So that's what I'm going to do now. And then we can start the car up and let it run for a significant period of time. Secondly, I want to show you this as well. I got tired of doing all of this nonsense here, so I just went ahead and I just plugged this in. This unit here, underneath this unit, if you see that little square right there, that's a sensor for the keyless start system. I don't even need to touch the key. Look, the key's on the floor. As soon as you press it, you get ignition. So obviously the car's not going to start. And if I press the brakes, it just starts straight up. Like, exactly as it should. I think I might have a problem with the fuel sender unit because I never thought it was out of fuel because it told me it's got a quarter tank there. You can see quarter tank, but as soon as I put fuel into the system, the car started. This was a breaker car. It was flipped upside down. It had a good old whack, so maybe there's a problem in there, but I'll double check it later on. So for the coolant system, there's several pipes, hoses and connectors that I need to connect to both the engine and that water reservoir that I've just fitted. I also made sure that I connected the coolant pipes for the transmission as well, once again because we're converting from manual to auto. Next up, I'm running the connecting wires for the coolant fan and also the wires that connects to the power steering pump. And there you have it. All the coolant hoses have been connected to the designated areas. Now all I need to do is fit the radiators. On the breaker car, the main water radiator was damaged, so I'm going to swap that out later on. And finally, I'm going to be upgrading the stock M140i charge air cooler rad for one off of a M2, M3, M4. It's a lot bigger, which will give better cooling. Alright guys, so have a look at this. The coolant system, everything has been attached. I've got a new rad for the charge air cooler. The one that was on the breaker was damaged, so we just replaced that. Water rad is in, fan is all working fine. Everything's nice and solid. Everything's connected where it should. The auxiliary water pump here for the charge air cooler is in. Everything is in, fans connected. Have a look at this one though. I just wanted to point this out. This is the auxiliary rad for the charge air cooler, and on the M140 it's quite small, but it was damaged. The one that we got on the breaker was damaged anyway. So this is the one from M2, M3, M4. I picked this up on eBay for a really good price, and because Ricky's going to be putting a lot more power through the car, this is early preparation for better cooling. So I just wanted to point that out and check for any leaks. If that's all good later on, I'll drain the water out and replace it with coolant. But yeah, let's fill it up and then we can actually let the car run. I want to see if the fans are going to kick in, etc, etc. So let's continue. With the entire coolant system plumbed in, it's finally time to fill this bad boy up with some coolant or water and do some tests. So guys, the cold start is gone, it's settling down nicely. And already you can start to see the water is returning. So that means that it's circling through the entire system. Have a look at that. That's a good sign. I want to make sure that that fan is kicking in. That means that all the sensors in the engine are still working. So it goes down, goes all the way through the engine, goes through the rads, gets cooled, and it comes back from the top of the rads through the return pipe here, and is returning back to the reservoir. So that's a good sign. I'm going to leave it to run, and I'm going to monitor for any leaks or any issues. At the moment, I can't see anything. This water on the floor here is from where I was pouring it. But at the moment, it's all looking good. Guys, have a listen to that. Do you know what that is? That's the sound of success. That's the sound of keeping it moving. That's the sound of Salvage Nation. Check this out. The car is running perfectly fine. It's come up to temperature. I can't see any leaks thus far. And have a look at the fan. I'm not gonna touch it. I don't even know if you can see it, but the fan is ticking away right now, it's spinning. That's gone down, that's a good sign. So there's gonna be air pockets, so I'll top it back up. But the engine sounds really healthy, it sounds really good. Have a listen to this. This is where we're gonna start to pack this up because it's Saturday, I need to go out, I'm tired. In the next episode, I'll connect this rear axle, I'll connect the prop shaft, and I'll go inside and I'll start to sort out this central bit so I can get the gear selector installed, and hopefully that should give me some drive, and then we can take this car for our first test drive. The plan is also to fit the front slam panel. I'll stick the headlights back on, front bumper, M2 front end, and yeah, we're definitely taking this car out in the next episode. So stay tuned for all of that. Make sure your bells are on, make sure you're subscribed, make sure your bells are on. Trust me, it's gonna be crazy. So guys, just like we kept it moving here, I hope you keep it moving, and I'll see you guys in the next one. In the next episode, dropping tomorrow, yes, tomorrow, Wednesday, I'm completing my Gen 2 Audi R8 build. We're doing tons of work on the interior. You're gonna get to see my reactions when I pick this car up from the guys over at Adonai Car Studio. And then I'm gonna be revealing how much I paid for the car, how much it's worth, and I found out something very special about this car. And trust me, it's gonna be mad. So make sure you're there. I'll see you tomorrow, 7 p.m.